please?
Hey, welcome to the podcast. This is the Surge Effect, and this podcast, well, it'll probably have an effect on you. Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of the Surge Effect. Today's episode of the Surge Effect, we're going to be talking a little bit about what's going on in Canada with Algoma and Stellantis, of course, and just about the Liberal government in general in regards to spending our money. All right, in the meantime, before I get started, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like and share. Very, very important. All right? It just helps with my YouTube channel tremendously. Anyway, let's start today's podcast with the first video. Is going to be John Broussard in the People's House, and this is what John has to say. He says this in the People's House the other day, and facts. He's just putting out facts. So here we go.
When the Prime Minister said who cares during his visit to the UAE recently about the state of trade talks with the U.S., he meant it, and here's why. No one should be naive in thinking that the Prime Minister left a trillion-dollar company making millions of dollars in both salary and deferred compensations for some virtuous reason to make $400,000 as the Prime Minister to negotiate a trade deal or save us from ourselves. Almost everything in the Budget Implementation Act is set up to use the power of the Prime Minister's office to benefit a group of well-connected Liberal insiders, lobbyists, and his corporate buddies. This was a process that started in 2020 when the Prime Minister was appointed as the economic advisor to Justin Trudeau while still acting as chair of Brookfield Asset Management. Having Trudeau in power was a dream come true for this incestuous cabal of Liberal elites. While Trudeau was playing Prime Minister, the pieces being put into place to ensure that many, if not all, of the public financial instruments, green investment funds, and policies the Prime Minister started pushing when he was pulling Trudeau's strings as his economic advisor aligned with Brookfield's strategy and success. We found out last week that the Prime Minister met with Brookfield executives privately in the Prime Minister's office in October, which would cause a reasonable person to think that the screen is not being willfully applied, given the fact that the Prime Minister is not supposed to have any interaction with Brookfield, either its people or its entities. So who cares? We all should, because democracy depends on trust. If Canadians believe their leaders are making decisions to enrich their companies or themselves, confidence in our institution erodes even more than it has under these Liberals. This isn't about partisan politics, it's about accountability. Canadians deserve leaders who serve the public interest, not private portfolios. So my assessment on this budget is simple. For those who support expansive government involvement in every aspect of our economy, subsidies given to companies that would otherwise invest their own capital, Brookfield's deep involvement in policies shaped by their former chair and now Prime Minister, policies which he and the company stand to gain from, bloating debt and deficits that burden our families, seniors, and future generations, and a system that gives Liberal insiders and lobbyists unfettered access to the Treasury while Canada drifts closer and closer towards a kleptocracy. This is the budget.
They cut him off at the end there because time's up, right? So they had to cut him loose on that. So my next video is going to be, of course, Pierre Poilievre in the People's House the other day, and he was talking about Algoma Steel here in Canada and what happened with a third of its workforce. 1/3 of its workforce.
Mr. Speaker, today Algoma announced it's laying off 1,000 steel workers, nearly a third of its workforce in the Soo. Our thoughts are with them. The Prime Minister looked them in the eye and promised he would protect their jobs, that he would negotiate a win, and I quote, have a deal by July 21st, but it was a bait and switch that is costing people their livelihoods. On top of that, Liberals are hammering the steel mill with a higher industrial carbon tax. Isn't it bad enough that the Prime Minister broke his promise on trade? Why is he going ahead with an industrial carbon tax that will kill even more steel jobs?
Exactly. So there's the first little video of Pierre the other day. And this is the second video, same in the House the other day.
Today, Algoma announced it's laying off 1,000 steel workers, nearly a third of its workforce in the Soo. Our thoughts are with them. The Prime Minister looked them in the eye and promised he would protect their jobs, that he would negotiate a win, and I quote, have a deal by July 21st, but it was a bait and switch that is costing people their livelihoods. On top of that, Liberals are hammering the steel mill with a higher industrial carbon tax. Isn't it bad enough that the Prime Minister broke his promise on trade? Why is he going ahead with an industrial carbon tax that will kill even more steel jobs?
Obviously, our thoughts are with the workers affected by the unjustified and unjustifiable tariffs imposed by the White House.
Thoughts. Their thoughts are with them. That'll do those people a lot of good.
And we'll continue to work with them as Algoma Steel is going through a difficult situation, to say the least. Mr. Speaker, my team and I have been in contact with Algoma's leadership team. We absolutely have every confidence in the Algoma workers.
Every confidence in the Algoma workers for what?
As they're going through this hardship, and we will make sure that we support them as they're developing new products and also accessing new markets. We'll fight for these jobs, Mr. Speaker.
All the Liberals are clapping in the back. Those people are making like, $250,000 a year. Seriously?
Food cost prices is growing according to today's Feed Ontario report, which reveals that food bank use is up 13% in 1 year and 165% since this Prime Minister became the economic advisor to this Liberal government. 8.7 million Ontario visits in 1 year to the Ontario Food Bank, while this Prime Minister hikes carbon taxes on food production. Why is he driving more people into hunger with higher taxes?
Every step of the way, these Conservatives fight against the supports that Canadian families talk about needing. And in fact, Mr. Speaker, they just asked a question about workers that are facing job losses at Algoma Steel. And yet, Mr. Speaker, when they had a chance to vote for expansion of EI, for easier access, longer duration, and more generous benefits, they voted against it, Mr. Speaker. So how do they in any way have the right to stand up and talk about the needs of Canadians when they stand in the way of the supports that those very Canadians need?
The supports that those Canadians want and need is a paycheck, Mr. Speaker. And they want to be able to afford food. They should be able. In a country with this much farmland and this much wealth, our people should be able to eat. But according to the latest report by Feed Ontario, there's been a 165% increase in food bank use in Ontario alone since this Prime Minister joined this government. Yet he wants to go ahead with an industrial carbon tax on farm equipment, food processors, and fertilizer that will drive up the cost of food.
It's amazing to hear the leader of the opposition, because the first thing we did is to make sure that Canadians would have more money in their pocket, Mr. Speaker. We, in fact, reduced taxes for Canadians.
See, they keep saying this, but if you check into it, they actually reduce it by about $35 a month per Canadian for only 22 million people, which is half the population of Canada. $35 a month. You couldn't even buy a cup of coffee a day with that.
22 million Canadians. But you know what, Mr. Speaker, what's most disturbing for Canadians watching at home? At every step of the way, where we were there for families, where we were there for workers, where we were there for Canadians, they stand in the way, Mr. Speaker. That's the leader who voted against Canadian. On this side of the House, we believe in Canada. We're going to grow this country. We're going to work for families. We're going to protect the...
They've had 10 years to do that. And where are we? We're sitting where we are today because they have not done that. But they also say about, voting for different things. You voted this down, voted that down. You got to remember that in those bills, there's other things in there, like say giving another, $50 million to the Ukraine. And the PCs are like, we don't want to give any more money to them, so we're not going to vote for that bill. Stuff like that's in those bills, right? All right, so the next one I'm going to show you is, yet another one in our House. And this is one with Pierre Poilievre and Mark Carney.
The Prime Minister promised he would negotiate a win and have a deal by July 21st. Still no win, still no deal, still no elbows. And now 1,000 workers at Algoma Steel are losing their jobs. We now learn that the Prime Minister gave $400 million to the corporate executives of that company without any job guarantees. How is it the Prime Minister could have been so incompetent to saddle Canadians who can't afford to pay their bills with a $400 million bailout bill without any guarantee of jobs staying in Canada?
Mr. Speaker, these are difficult times in Sault Ste. Marie, and our hearts go to the families. But as I quote the CEO of Algoma Steel that there would be an even darker day if this government hadn't acted.
Exactly.
That loan, that support, saved 2/3 of those jobs. That loan, that support gives Algoma a bridge to the future that we are building strong in this country and that they voted against.
Well, as long as the CEO is happy with the $400 million gift he got from the Prime Minister, that's all that matters to these Liberals.
That's $400 million of tax dollars, Canadian tax dollars.
He didn't give the workers a bridge to the future. He gave them a bridge to the unemployment lines, 1,000 of them. 1/3 of the workers at Algoma in Sault Ste. Marie have now lost their jobs after the Prime Minister paid to have those jobs shipped abroad. How is it that he could be so irresponsible with the money of hardworking Canadians that he would pay a corporate CEO $400 million to send 1,000 jobs south?
That's right, $400 million, and they're heading south. Here is Mario Zelaya. I play a lot of Mario, not a lot, but some of his clips are great, so I pick them up because I resonate with him. I resonate with what he says. Anyway, this is what he says in regards to Algoma. Very interesting clip.
Guys, this is massive, exclusive, and breaking news. I heard from a whistleblower who works for the police department in Sault Ste. Marie, where nearly 1,000 people, or over 1,000 people, were laid off from Algoma Steel. Listen to this. The police services was contacted by upper management months ago knowing that the layoffs were coming. The Sault police attended meetings with upper management at Algoma Steel. There they learned that the layoffs were being planned and Algoma Steel was worried about protests and workers and staff damaging, sabotaging, and stealing before being laid off. The reason being cited in the news is the tariffs as the cause for the layoffs, but in the meetings, the reasons stated were not that. Algoma Steel is transitioning from coal-powered furnaces to electric green furnaces. One of the new electric furnaces is up and running. The second was supposed to be up and running by now, but it keeps getting delayed indefinitely for many reasons. But Algoma Steel had stopped ordering coal to power the remaining furnaces, anticipating that the two arc furnaces would be up and running. They said that since they stopped ordering coal, they can't get that supply back and they will be running out of coal within the month. Once the coal is gone and the blast furnace shuts down, it can never be started up again. They can never go cold or it's done. Police were told this was the reason for the layoffs. I believe that the tariffs are a factor, but the main reason is that the transition to these new green arc furnaces has been a disaster. It has cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. The Liberals sent hundreds of millions to Algoma Steel. I speculate that this whole thing was planned so that they could blame Trump and the tariffs while the foreign owners take millions and screw over the workers and tax-paying Canadians.
There you have it. You can see the rest of it on Twitter. If you're on Twitter, just go check out Mario's post. But that's it in a nutshell for that one. And who else knew about this money? Of course, well, none other than Doug Ford. Doug Ford knew all about it because Ontario gave Algoma lots of money as well as the federal government. Listen up.
The head of Algoma told CTV yesterday that your government and the federal government would have been aware that there were job losses on the horizon. Is that true?
Yeah, we put in $100 million. The feds put in about $400 million.
$500 million.
The CEO told us that there'd be a dramatic change. If we didn't put it in, it'd be a lot more than 1,000 people. We need the federal government to start ramping up the procurement for the military, and we want to allocate all that steel, no matter if it's for the military or for the pipelines, over to Algoma until they can have a full staff there.
Some people might be quite surprised to find out that you were aware that these job losses were on the horizon.
Oh, well, you know something? We have two choices. The Titanic was sinking up there. We either save, 2/3, or we don't save anything. And I believe in saving the company up there, allocating funds to keep them going, and that's exactly what we did.
What if we put in more money? Would that have saved more jobs?
Well, again, you'd have to talk to the people at Algoma, because we're there to help as many people as possible. And if we didn't put up that $100 million and the feds didn't put up $400 million, I don't think that plant would be standing right now.
Well, there you go. $500 million, and they still lost 1/3 of all their employees. So the Canadian taxpayers, we're just giving money silly-nilly. The Liberals, right, which is our money, they're just giving it away. So there's $500 million, $500 million just went to Algoma. They lost 1,000 people. We gave money to Stellantis, and this is what happened with them. Listen up.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's a great day for us at Stellantis today because it's a day where we see CAFE regulation reconcile with real customers' demand. That's why at Stellantis we decided to invest to Jeep, Ram, Dodge and Chrysler $13 billion in the next 4 years, increasing production by 50%, delivering to the market 5 new vehicles and creating 5,000 additional jobs. That's because we believe in what you, Secretary Duffy, and all your team is doing in this country.
Canadian taxpayers gave Stellantis $15 billion. And they went to the States.
We believe in growth, and we are ready to invest even more. So thank you very much. Thank you very much also for this great news of the K-cars, which we are very interested in. And we are very looking forward to work with Secretary Duffy, your team, in the future for the next steps. Thank you very much.
We'll get ready for those cars because we've already cleared the way. You can start right away.
We will.
They can start right away. Isn't that something? Hey, $15 billion the taxpayers gave Stellantis, and that's what we get for our troubles, right? And we will be paying for generations to come. Money that goes out, generations to come. Liberals gave our money to them. You're starting to see what's happening. All the money's going out. But Canadians have never had it so good. Eh? We just never had it so good here in Canada. So let's move on to the Ukraine. Right? Billions of dollars Canadians have given to the Ukraine. Billions. They just had a corruption scandal happen just the other day. We've given over $20 billion to Ukraine from Canada. Where is the breakdown of the money that Canadians gave to the Ukraine? Where's the breakdown? Where has our tax dollars gone to? And to what? To help who? Good question, right? Lots of whys. Listen to one of these clips.
Worst time to have a corruption scandal.
Volodymyr Zelensky is currently embroiled in a corruption scandal. The main anti-corruption watchdog in the country has investigated that Volodymyr Zelensky's inner circle has been getting kickbacks from the energy and defense sector. One of his closest aides, his house was about to be raided and he fled to Israel in the last few days. So the noose is sort of tightening around Zelensky's inner circle, and if he doesn't get a hold on this and introduce the kind of reforms that the opposition and the public are now demanding, that in itself could bring down Zelensky's government on top of the pressure he's facing from the United States and the Russians.
It's the worst time to have a corruption scandal. It's cold and the soldiers are dying, and then you're every day delivering a message about solidarity and strength, and you have to pull through this.
Yeah, one of his main guys, they actually rifled through his house because something about money being filtered through because of the energy system that they have over there, and he was skimming money and whatever. But that in itself, you have a red flag on the field and you go, hey, where's all the billions of dollars that Canadians have given? How about all the billions of dollars that the Americans have given them? Where's a breakdown of our money? I think it was Marjorie Taylor Greene who just resigned. She asked this question, I believe, last year. Could we not get an itemized account and an Excel spreadsheet or something? Where is our money going? Almost like when you give money to a society. Where's that money breakdown? Where's it go? Does it mostly go to administration, or does it actually get to the people that need it? That type of thing, right? So here's the Affairs Minister here in Canada, Anita Anand, giving more money away to the Ukraine just the other day.
Today, I am here to make 2 announcements. First, I am pleased to announce that Canada, alongside several allies, will purchase a package of military capabilities under the Pearl program. This is the NATO vehicle for military support for Ukraine. Canada's contribution to the purchase of this Pearl package will be $200 million, bringing Canada's total contribution to $890 million over the past 6 months.
$890 million on top of the 20 we've already given them. It's kind of crazy how much money that the taxpayers of this country has given the Ukraine. And when Trudeau was in office, he said, we'll do whatever it takes. Canada do whatever it takes. At what expense and at what cost to Canadians and the people of our country in Canada? What's the cost? It's ridiculous. So here's Mario Zelaya. Again, I got a little clip. He's talking about money that went to the Ukraine. And here we go.
Let me make sense of this. How is it that the Liberal government can cut $4.23 billion from the Veterans Affairs budget over the next 4 years, then pledge the exact same amount, in fact more, $4.3 billion to Ukraine back in July? Oh yeah, and today, decided to give another $200 million in funding to buy stockpile of firearms from the U.S. so he can give it to Ukraine.
Is that crazy or what?
Why do our Canadian veterans have to suffer after we've already given over $20 billion to Ukraine?
Why do the Canadian veterans have to suffer and the military have to suffer after we've already given $20 billion to Ukraine? Why? So here's another question. I like to ask questions. Lots of whys, right? So here's Chrystia Freeland, our past deputy prime minister and our past financial wizard. She is a special envoy. She is a ambassador now to the Ukraine because that's where she's originally from. If you didn't know it, her family. And for some reason, MPs are going to the Ukraine. Now the scandal has happened. They're kind of going over there, kind of sorting things out. Like, why? So here's what she has to say.
There were, of course, conversations about the corruption investigations. From my perspective, those investigations are part of this conviction that Ukrainians have, that they're fighting Russia and they're fighting to win, and they are also fighting for the kind of Ukraine they're going to build at home.
Where's our money? Where's our money gone? Where is it?
Corruption revelations are always challenging. But from my perspective, it's really important for us to recognize that this is not, it's not Steve Paikin's investigative reporting that has uncovered stuff. It's not an international financial institution, like the World Bank that has gone in and said, oh my goodness.
She says a lot of nothing when she speaks. She did that when she was the finance minister and when she was the deputy prime minister. But being over in the Ukraine, and like I said, saying what she's saying a lot of nothing. Everyone knows that the Ukraine, there's something up with the Ukraine even years ago, before the war even started. Something was up with the Ukraine. That's why the Bidens were involved with it. That's why Hunter was involved with it, because it's like money laundering, something going on. But once again, where's our money? Give us an itemized list, an account of where our money went in the Ukraine. Canadians' money. Canadians are having a hard time right now. And for us to give, like I said, $20 billion to the Ukraine, and we just gave them another 200 and somewhat, another 800 million, something's wrong with that. We have problems in this country. Right now we have problems with the newcomers, right, or immigration right now, stuff that people may not even know about. So I'm going to drop you another video moving forward. And this has to do in regards to free healthcare that was posted in a magazine for newcomers. Listen. This is Richard. Oh, what's Richard's name? I forget what Richard's name is. But anyway, this is what he has to say.
October 13th, the Immigration Department made a post on social media to promote Canada's free healthcare system to potential newcomers. It was viewed on Twitter almost 2 million times worldwide. Who approved this post when 6.5 million Canadians don't have access to a family doctor?
Our communications group in the department, they issue tweets and use other social media to talk about immigration to Canada. Some of the things that they include in that communication would be the situation in Canada. Obviously, people coming from other countries, there are a lot of things to consider if you're thinking about a big move to another country. So I think it was part of some of those efforts to talk about not only the process in getting here, but what Canada's like, where that information is put.
Is the minister aware of these communications?
I don't know if she would be aware. She would not be aware of some of the day-to-day routine communication.
Like, these committees, like, they ask some certain questions, and they're just like, these people are out to lunch when they're giving them their answers. It's like, just give a straight-on answer, okay? So here's another little clip about asylum seekers and immigrants and coming into Canada in regards to health care.
I just asked you, is it fair? Like, you're asking taxpayers us to send you $600 million to pay for things like orthotics and vision care for people who have bogus asylum claimants and are still in the country. So is that fair? Why would I do that? That seems dumb to me.
Listen, I realize it's not something you would do, but I can tell you these money goes for people that are here because of human trafficking. Goes for women that are here because of domestic violence.
Great, let's give it to those people. Why are you giving them to bogus people with failed asylum claims?
The duration of which these are temporary.
So they're get this straight. Canadians, us as taxpayers, we're paying for people who haven't even passed the immigration part of it. So they've kind of like failed a test, if you will, to even come in. But we're paying for them.
That they receive interim
right.
health.
So if somebody
measures.
has a failed asylum claim, they can still receive federal benefits. Why? That's dumb.
Again, we are introducing measures to ensure that we limit and curb those.
But
and
why
with
don't
measures
you
that
just
you
cut
are
it off?
obstructing, quite frankly.
Well, yes, I'm accepting it. I think it's completely insane that you are giving better health benefits to people with bogus asylum claims than Canadian seniors.
That is a fact. See, these are all at committees, things that I watch, and I get a lot of information from. So here is a person from Canada that just drops a bit of information that a lot of people may or may not know. And this is quite interesting. It's a couple of minutes long, but hopefully I don't have to play it that long. But listen to what she has to say.
I need Canadians to hear this. What you are seeing right now is not your imagination. There is a divide growing in this country, and it is not coming from the people. It is coming from the federal government. Refugee claimants are considered residents of Canada for the purpose of federal benefits the moment that they receive their temporary documents. That status unlocks multiple federal programs as long as they meet the income criteria, even if they've never worked here, they've never paid into our system, and they have only been in Canada for days or weeks. In Canada, the Resettlement Assistance Program, or RAP, covers almost every living expenses for newcomers. Furniture, linens, household needs, transportation support, dietary allowances, clothing allowances, newborn allowances, maternity clothing and benefits, school allowances, the maximum child tax benefit, monthly income supports, housing top-ups, and even startup payments in the thousands. Over $8,000. They also receive interim federal health coverage, which includes healthcare, vision, and dental. And today, I learned that they also qualify for the Canadian Dental Care Plan as well. So they're getting double coverage for dental. I will link this website for you so that you can look yourself. My mind is honestly blown. Meanwhile, Canadian families are paying higher taxes, higher rent, higher bills, and being told to tighten their belt. Programs for our own veterans continue to be cut. I want to be very clear. I am not blaming the families that have arrived here. Any one of us would take the help if we were in their situation. This is about our government. They continue stretching Canadians thinner while expanding programs that Canadians themselves cannot even access.
So, part of my podcast is about the Liberal government, of course. Are they doing what's best for Canadians, best for taxpayers? Is our lives becoming better, or are they becoming worse? Their overspending is ridiculous. Ridiculous. We have problems in our own soil, in our own country. We need help here. Our money that we give to the government, and then they just give it away. Doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. So here is another clip, and this is a clip of talking about carbon tax. So in our house, you always hear people saying that, oh, there's no tax on this. There's no tax on there's no carbon tax on this. There's no carbon tax. And this is in committee, where actually one of the MPs is actually a farmer as well. And here is the minister trying to tell him that there's no carbon tax. This is hilarious. Listen to this.
So you suggested earlier in your opening remarks that there was a climate cost of food, yet the industrial carbon tax is still applied to fertilizer production, grain drying, farm equipment, etc. And you've made great speeches in the House to the effect that this is not a tax, has no impact on food prices. Isn't that an oxymoron? I mean, like that's ridiculous. You say there's a cost of food for all these other things, but yet you're taxing the means of production of food, and it doesn't impact the price at the grocery store. Can you explain that, please?
Yeah, I mean, I can even provide the studies to this committee if you want. Absolutely. There are studies time and time again, in fact, that say that the industrial carbon price does not increase the cost of food.
So then what does it impact? Is it just impact the viability of farms, and so farms get smaller?
No, it does. It's actually
so farms consolidate to bigger farms.
Small farms aren't impacted by the industrial carbon price.
They're not impacted by it. Also, the carbon taxes that I'm paying as a producer are what, imaginary?
The industrial carbon price applies to large industry. It applies in different ways in different parts of our country.
I pay carbon tax on the electricity and the equipment and the fertilizer that I use to run my farm, and you say that's imaginary?
I would love to see how you're breaking that down.
Do you see what she's doing here? She's saying that there's no tax, and here's a farmer that's an MP that's literally telling her the tax that he pays, is it imaginary? And she's trying to weasel out of it somehow without literally just saying the truth.
But what I am telling you,
with real dollars.
You wouldn't have a line, sir, that says anywhere industrial carbon price.
Because it's hidden, yeah, but the price has gone up on everything.
See? She said you won't see it anywhere. She said you won't see it anywhere, and he's like, yeah, because you think it's hidden, but he's paying money, right? He pays money out for everything. So as soon as you pay money out, everything else that person creates, whatever that business is, they're going to pass that on to the consumer. Anyone that doesn't understand that doesn't understand simple economics, right? Simple economics. Anyway, listen, here's today's podcast. It's been 31 minutes in, so I'm going to sign off. I just wanted to show you that our Liberal government has spent money on Algoma, who've lost jobs. Stellantis, who literally moved to the States to the tune of $14 billion. And the Ukraine, we've given them $20 billion. All this money that taxpayers pay. And what does Canada have to show for it? Like, people need to wake up. Contact your MP, ask some questions, find out what's going on. That's all, right? It makes no sense to me. Right? But that's our money that we work hard for, okay? All right, Canada, we can do better, Canada. We can do better, right? Just need to wake up, see what's going on in this world, see what's going on with Canada, and hopefully we can do a lot better in the future. That's today's podcast, everyone. Thank you very much for subscribing. Thanks for listening to my little rants and watching all my videos and listening to what I have to say. And until next time, everyone, have yourself a great day. Cheers.